Hi everyone, welcome to this tutorial on IELTS Writing Tasks 2. My name is Angel Amayo. The purpose of this series of videos is to prepare you for Writing Task 2 of your IELTS test. Whether you are preparing for IELTS academic or general training, the task is the same for both modules. The task is to write an essay to express an opinion, support an argument, or present a solution to a problem. In other words, on your test day, you will be instructed to write either an essay that requires you to express your point of view on a topic, support, defend, or debunk an argument, or evaluate a problem to identify its causes and consequences or possible solutions. Let us begin by taking a look at an example of each of the three essay task types provided by the British Council. Now, on the slide is an example of a task that requires you to write an opinion essay. It says you should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Write about the following topic. Some people believe that teaching children at home is best for a child's development, while others think that it is important for children to go to school. Discuss the advantages of both methods and give your own opinion. The final part of it says, give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. This is usually the structure of the task. You have the topic, in this case, which says some people believe that teaching children at home is best for a child's development, while others think that it is important for children to go to school. That is the topic. Now you can see the text in red. That is the prompt, or what we call the instruction or question, which you must directly answer in your essay. It says discuss the advantages of both methods and give your own opinion. And the final part of the task usually is this last instruction, which is the specification about what you should do specifically. It says give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge and experience. We'll get to know how to implement these instructions later in this video. We know that this is an opinion essay because the second clause of the instruction clearly says, discuss the advantages of both methods and give your own opinion. Next is an instance of a task 2 that instructs you to support or debunk an argument. It says, some people think that having a set retirement age, e.g., 65 years for everybody, regardless of occupation, is unfair. They believe that certain workers deserve to retire and receive a pension at an earlier age. That is the topic. Now to the prompt or question or instruction. Here is a question. Do you agree or disagree? Which types of workers do you think should benefit from early retirement? The final part of it says, which is the specification, it says, give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. We know that this is an argument essay because the question directly asked, do you agree or disagree? And the third one in our list, which is the last of the three task 2 types, is a problem essay. Here is the example. It says, many people go through life doing work that they hate or have no talent for. Why does this happen? What are the consequences of this situation? And finally, the specification, it says, give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. Now, you have seen an example of each of the 3 essay forms that you might be given to write on your test day. What next? I should ask you to go and write a response to each of these 3 tasks and submit them to me to assess when next we meet, right? Oh, I can hear you protesting. No, how can I start? How can you start? Now, you are asking that question because there are 3 things that you most probably do not know yet. The first is the set of guidelines called assessment criteria that IELTS examiners use to measure your performance. The second is what exactly you should do to fulfill the criteria. And the third is how you can brainstorm on your own to generate ideas for your essay. So before you can have or develop the ability to produce a very strong response that can earn you a band 8 or 9, you need to be aware of IELTS assessment criteria for writing task 2. Then you need to know how to satisfy the criteria. And finally, you need to know how you can quickly generate ideas to support your opinion or argument throughout your essay. And also, you need to know how to suggest solutions to a problem. Now, let us begin with the assessment criteria. Now, the assessment criteria are a set of guidelines that IELTS examiners use to measure your performance. As you can already see on the slide, they are task response, you have cohesion and coherence, then you have lexical resource, and finally you have grammatical range and accuracy. But what do these mean? I have tried to give a very short instruction about what you should do in order to meet this requirement. As you can see on task response, it says you need to formulate and develop a clear position, and that's going to be throughout your essay. And on cohesion, or rather on coherence and cohesion, you have link ideas between paragraphs and between sentences within paragraphs. And then on lexical resource, you have use a variety of alternative words and or expressions. And on grammatical range and accuracy, you have use a mix of sentence types such as the simple sentence, the complex sentence, compound sentence, and the multiple sentence. And make sure your punctuation, capitalization, and spelling are correct. So in both IELTS Academic and IELTS General Training versions, or rather modules, Task 2 requires test takers to formulate and develop a position to the question throughout the essay. Ideas have to be supported by evidence and examples, as you've already heard or seen in the specification. Examples may be drawn from your own knowledge or experience, and you have to write at least 250 words. And if you write 250 words, you have met the word count requirement. And the next one that we have seen is coherence and cohesion. This assesses the overall clarity and fluency of the message, how the response organizes and links information, ideas, and language. Coherence refers to the linking of ideas through logical sequencing. Cohesion refers to the varied and appropriate use of cohesive devices, for example, logical connectors, pronouns, and conjunctions, to assist in making the conceptual and referential relationships between and within sentences. And the next one is lexical resource. As we already know, this criterion refers to the range of vocabulary used and its accuracy and appropriacy in terms of the specific task. And the last one, grammatical range and accuracy. This assesses the range and accurate use of grammar as manifested in your writing at the sentence level. your use of different sentence types, such as the simple sentence, the complex sentence, the compound sentence, and the multiple sentence. And as I've mentioned before, the correct use of punctuation, capitalization, and spelling. Now, at this point, you are now aware of IELTS assessment criteria. Now, remember what I said earlier, that before you can have developed the ability to produce a strong response that can earn you a band 8 or 9, you need to be aware of IELTS assessment criteria for Task 2, which you now know, and then that you need to know how to satisfy the criteria. So, here we are. How can you meet the criteria? To answer this question, here is where a little difference exists between academic writing and general training. You can fulfill IELTS assessment criteria for writing Task 2 by writing on the topic in a formal, discursive style in academic writing, or in a semi-formal, discursive style in general training. I can hear you asking, what is a formal discursive style that I have to use in academic writing, or the semi-formal discursive style that I am to use in general training? Good question. There are two defining words there, namely formal and discursive for academic writing, and semi-formal and discursive for general training writing. Let us take them one by one. To make your academic writing formal in style, do the following. Use long forms of verbs only in your academic writing, and use passive voice in your body paragraphs to avoid using the first person pronouns, namely I and we. Next, in your general training writing, to make it semi-formal, you need to use long forms of verbs predominantly, but you may use a short form maybe once or not at all. Then you need to use passive voice in your body paragraphs to avoid the first person pronouns, I and we, but you should use them, namely I and we, in your introductory paragraph or in your conclusion. Now, I'm going to show you a list of long and short forms just so you can understand what I mean by long and short forms. Now, here is a list of long and short forms in English. So, in general writing, you may use a short form once or not at all. But in academic writing, don't use short forms at all. Always use long forms. Now, to illustrate this distinction between formal and semi-formal style in writing, whether in academic or in general, I am going to show you 5 sentences. I'm going to show you 5 sentences. Now, the first 3 sentences are examples of thesis statements, and the remaining 2 are reformulations that you can use in a conclusion. If you know that before, there has to be a thesis statement in your introductory paragraph, and then in your conclusion you have to reformulate the thesis statement. So these sentences that you are looking at now on your screen on the slide are examples of thesis statements. Essentially number 1 to 3 rather, they are examples of thesis statements, and number 4 and 5 are examples of reformulations that you can use in a conclusion. The first one, for instance, in general writing, you will write, ultimately, I believe that the school experience is best for children. This is what you will write on the topic that asks you to determine, debate whether the school is the best place for teaching children or at home. One of the questions we saw at the beginning of this video. In academic writing, however, you would write, it is believed that the school is best for children. So in this way, you have avoided using I, all right, because it is now in the passive, and it will be assumed that this is your opinion, whether you put I there or not. And another way to express this is to write it this way. In number 3, it says there are reasons to believe that the school experience is best for children. This is another way to write it. Now, in a paragraph that concludes, you can write number 4 to sum up. I believe that children are better off in a school environment. In the case of general training, whereas in academic writing, you will write number 5, which says, in conclusion, it is clear that children are better off in a school environment. At this juncture, you now know what to do to make your writing formal in academic writing and what to do to make it semi-formal in general training. But what should you do to make your writing discursive? In task 2 of both academic writing and general training writing, your response must be discursive. What does that mean? It means that your writing should follow English discursive conventions, which consider how you start and finish your writing, your essay, what order you put information in, what style you use, and how you paragraph. How can you achieve this? Well, the most popular way to make your writing discursive in IELTS Writing Task 2 is to use the 4-paragraph structure that includes a number of points. Now, the following points. So, you need to use a 4-paragraph structure that includes the following points now displayed on your screen. Now, the first is a paraphrase of the topic. And then you have a general statement that identifies both sides of the argument. This is optional, of course. And then, still inside your introductory paragraph, you need a thesis statement. Now, those are the 3 sentences that you have to write. Rather, the 2 sentences, essentially 2 of them are compulsory, that you have to write in your introductory paragraph. Now, in your body paragraph 1, a topic sentence is required. A topic sentence or a general statement that introduces your main point at the beginning of each paragraph. And then you need to provide supporting details such as specific examples or evidence that corroborate each point in each body paragraph. And finally, in your conclusion, you need to provide a summary or an evaluation of your key points in that paragraph. So when you finish writing your essay following the 4-paragraph structure, you are going to have this template that you have right before you, so that each paragraph has at least 2 reasons or two causes in the case of an essay that discusses a problem, or 2 reasons to back up your position in an argument. Following this template, which represents the convention of writing discursive essays in English and which can be applied in writing on any Task 2 topic in both academic and general training, you keep in mind that you are going to write 4 paragraphs, namely introduction, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, and a conclusion. Your introductory paragraph should contain 2 or 3 sentences, where the first and the second may be used to paraphrase the topic you are giving, and the third should be where you state your opinion or position. The sentence that states your opinion or position should always be the last sentence of your introductory paragraph. In your body paragraph 1, you begin by writing a topic sentence, which is a statement that introduces your main point in general terms without being specific now. Next, you write your first specific reason followed by a specific example. Then you need to give one more reason followed by another specific example. Once you have given 2 reasons and 2 specific examples to support your main point in body paragraph 1, your work is done there. In body paragraph 2, you identify 2 reasons why people might disagree with your opinion or position and counter them either there or later in your conclusion. In the case of an essay in which you weigh advantages against disadvantages, you discuss at least 2 advantages in one paragraph and 2 disadvantages in the other paragraph. In the case of a problem essay, you would discuss at least 2 causes of the problem in body paragraph 1 and 2 consequences or 2 solutions in body paragraph 2. We shall look at how these are implemented later by taking a look at examples of each of them. In your conclusion, of course, you reformulate your thesis statement, as I have already mentioned before, and summarize the points you gave in the 2 body paragraphs without repeating the examples you cited, only the main points. You should not introduce any new point in your conclusion. All right. We can now move on to look at examples of essays that follow this style of discursive writing. I am going to show you a collection of 4 essays. The first 2 are examples of semi-formal discursive writing for general training, and the remaining 2 are instances of formal discursive convention for academic writing. We are going to examine each of them to discover how they satisfy the assessment criteria. Now, let us take a look. Here is the first one. It's an opinion essay. You have seen this question before. You saw it at the beginning of the video. Now, the question says, some people believe that teaching children at home is best for a child's development, while others think it is important for children to go to school. Now, here comes the prompt, which we call the question or instruction. It says, discuss the advantages of both methods and give your own opinion. And once again, we know that this is an opinion essay because it says we should give your own opinion. And remember the usual specification that asks you to give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. So once again, I have to mention that the task has 3 elements, namely the topic right here, And then you have the prompt, which is either an instruction or a question. In this case, the prompt is an instruction because, as you can see, there is no question mark at the end. All you have is a full stop. And the final part of the task is the specification. It is this specification that allows us to know that this is a question that asks you to write a discursive essay. Remember, right here, because of this opinion, we know that this is an opinion essay we are expected to write. And when we look at this, which is always the same specification, whether you are writing an opinion or argument or problem, in all task 2 questions, you always have this specification. It is this specification that makes IELTS Writing Task 2 a discursive writing. A discursive piece of writing that follows the discursive convention. All right, so this is the first one, opinion essay, and look at the second one. It's an argument essay. Once again, here is the topic. It says some people think that having a set requirement age, e.g. 65 years for everybody, regardless of occupation, is unfair. They believe that certain workers deserve to retire and receive a pension at an earlier age. This is a topic which you are expected to paraphrase. And the next part of the task is, the task presentation is the prompt. Again, now you can see this prompt is a question rather than an instruction, and you got question mark at the end of it. Unlike the previous one, the opinion essay we just finished looking at, it's got a full stop at the end of it. This one says, do you agree or disagree? This is a question. The prompt can be a question. It says, which types of workers do you think should benefit from early retirement? And once again, you see the specification, which allows us to know that IELTS Writing Task 2 is a discursive task. It asks you to write a discursive essay. Now, that's about that. You've already seen the response. And then the third one is a task that requires you to present, to assess a problem and then identify the consequences of the problem. Now, and this is it. This is the topic of this problem essay. It says, many people go through life doing work that they hate or have no talent for. And now we come to the prompt, which in this case too is a question. You have the first part of the question. It says, why does this happen? And typically you will put 2 reasons why this happened inside one paragraph, usually the paragraph after the introductory paragraph. And then the paragraph before your conclusion, you will use that to identify what the consequences are. It says, what are the consequences of this situation? And as you've already known, this is the specification that allows us to know that IELTS Writing Task 2 is discursive. Now, and finally, we have the last one. It's an advantages and disadvantages essay. But in this case, when you have a question like this that is not clear whether it's advantages or disadvantages, you have to give your response following any of the 2 approaches, whether you respond to it as though you were presenting it as your opinion or presenting it as an argument. All right, so here you have the topic. This is an academic task. All right, it says it's an academic task because it is an example provided by the British Council, and I sourced it from the examples provided in the model samples that are available on their website. All right, right here you have the topic. These days, many university courses are offered through the internet. Some people think that online teaching has more advantages than conventional classroom teaching or lectures, while others claim that there are significant disadvantages. Here comes the prompt. It says, do the benefits of online teaching outweigh the disadvantages? And here you have the specification once more. And below you have the model response. And these model responses that you have here are provided by the British Council too. So they are the standard that you can trust. All right. They are examples that you can trust, that you can imitate in your own writing. Now, let's take a look at the first paragraph of the first essay. Now, you can see in the introductory paragraph of the first one, you have some of the sentences in green and the others, and only one sentence in red. All right, so the text in red is the paraphrase. The text in red is the paraphrase. Now, how do we know that this is the paraphrase? Now, look at it. Now, the the topic says, some people believe that teaching children at home is best for a child's development. All right, and while others think that it's important for children to go to school. Now, look at the very first sentence. The very first sentence ends here. It says the argument over whether learning at home or at school is better for children has not settled yet. Has not been settled yet. So this sentence takes out the topic and makes a statement about it. And you can follow this pattern of sentence every time you find a question that asks you to respond to a question like this, to give your own opinion like this, discuss the advantages of both methods and give your own opinion. So you can just follow this template. Now, and the next one, the next part is, it says, whereas home education offers better protection with individual learning and opportunities for families to bond. So this part is in response to the first part of the topic that says some people believe that teaching children at home is best for a child's development. So this is a paraphrase of that one. Look at it. It says, whereas home education offers better protection with individual learning and opportunities for families to bond. Now, the second part, it says schools have a superior range of material and human resources. And look at it here, which is the other side of it. While others think that it is important for children to go to school. So you can see how this paraphrase has been enriched here. Nothing new has been said here. So the green text of the introduction is the paraphrase. And as I have mentioned before, the final sentence of the introductory paragraph should be your thesis statement, where you state your opinion. Remember, they ask you to give your opinion. So right now, you have just given your opinion when you say, ultimately, I think the school experience is best for children. But of course, you have only stated your opinion, and it is required that you state your opinion at this very beginning very clearly. And then you go into your body paragraphs to give details on why you take this opinion, why you take this side of the argument. Now, it is now clear. We've seen this example of an introductory paragraph for general training. Now let's look at the body paragraph. Remember the template that we are following. Now look at this template once again. Body paragraph 1. Body paragraph 1 begins with a topic sentence that introduces your main point. All right. Okay, now let's go back to it. So you see, this is body paragraph 1. This bold text starts body paragraph 1, and which is the topic sentence. And this is always required if you want to score very high in IELTS writing. Although it is possible for you to start without giving a topic sentence, of course, that's going to reduce your point. So a topic sentence is required. It's a strategy to make your response very clear and easy for your examiner to follow. So after you've given the topic sentence like this, which I mentioned is a general statement that does not give specific details, then you don't give a specific reason. Okay, this is not a specific advantage introduced by firstly. It says firstly, they can spend more time with their parents and siblings. All right. And now the second sentence in red, this is just to support the firstly sentence. This is supporting the firstly sentence. It says they can spend more time with their parents and siblings. All right. And then he makes this statement to support the fact that that's a better thing to do. Many social problems are associated with families not spending enough quality time together. That means that the first point is still being made here. Remember the procedure for organizing your points in discursive writing. you give a topic sentence. You give a topic sentence that introduces your main point, which you have seen. You give a specific reason, all right, plus specific example or supporting evidence. Now, so we have here, we have a specific reason, which is they can spend more time with their family. So this writer is telling you that's why I ultimately think the school experience is better. The first reason I hold that opinion is given here. Say, firstly, they can spend more time together with their siblings. If they don't do that, it says in the next one, it's a many social problems associated with families not spending quality time together. So the benefit of spending more time together and the benefit of not doing so. So you can look at the positive and the negative together like this to make a point. All right, so that is the first reason. And then the second reason is given in the next text in green. The next sentence in green. It says, teaching children at home also provides them with an individualized learning environment. So you can see that this is a second reason because of this also, this linker here. This linking word here also. So of course this the writer could have given secondly, but it's just a way in which you can create variety by introducing the linker at the end. And this is one thing you can do. This also can come to the beginning, but it's right here within a sentence, and this is allowed. So now this is the second specific reason. Remember what we do in discursive writing. There has to be a specific reason, and right now this paragraph is giving reason 2. All right, and then followed by a specific example or supporting evidence. Look at what has happened here in the essay that we're looking at. It said this is the specific reason now in this green text, and what is followed is the supporting information. It says instruction is custom designed. That is, when you are teaching children at home, the instruction you give to them is just designed to meet their specific needs. All right, and then it says, and moves at the child's own pace and in accordance with his or her individual learning style. So we now have two reasons. Usually when you have given two reasons and supporting evidence and or example, your paragraph is fully developed. But this writer has given one more reason. It says, finally, homeschooling protects children from bullies and others who might be a bad influence. So you can see how this paragraph has fulfilled this discursive style of writing, this body paragraph 1. All right, now let's look at the body paragraph 2. Body paragraph 2, you can see it also starts with a topic sentence. It says, on the other hand, the school environment also offers advantages for children. Here, advantages for children. This is the topic sentence. Remember, in discursive writing, you start with a topic sentence in your first paragraph before giving your reason, your first reason and specific example, your reason 2 and specific example. Body paragraph 2, you follow the same procedure, the same convention, the same tradition. You give a topic sentence that introduces your main point, merely introduces your main point, but does not give it. And it's the next sentence that follows that gives the specific reason followed by a specific example. If you do this fully, you will score full marks for this paragraph without missing anyone. And if you follow this convention consistently, you have a chance to score a band 8 or 9 or so. Now, and then here, once again, we come back, we have this topic sentence. It says, once again, the school environment offers advantages for children. And then, what is the first advantage? Look at it. It says schools encourage children to socialize with their peers and learn how to cope with gossip, bullying, and peer pressure. That's the first reason. In this case, you would find perhaps there's no, you might think that there is no specific example here, but the point is the instance is very specific because it refers to, it says that schools encourage children to socialize. It's a specific thing that they do, socialize with their peers and learn how to cope with gossip, specific things, bullying and peer pressure. So this is specific enough and it should earn a full point. And then the second reason given here, it says, in addition, children receive better tuition across a range of disciplines. And why? It goes on to give this: as schools have teachers. This is the evidence, the specific example. This is an evidence. This is a piece of evidence. I beg your pardon. You don't say an evidence. You say evidence, or a piece of evidence. This is a piece of evidence that we can examine, to believe this very reason that says children receive better tuition across a range of disciplines. That's because, if we were to reformulate this, that's because schools have teachers who are trained in special subjects. You want to deny that? That's evidence. It backs up the point, and the point is made. And then there's a third advantage here in this paragraph. It says, what is more, it starts with what is more, schools provide better access to physical resources such as sports equipment, musical equipment, and library books. So this very last one that is added right now is just evidence. When you give evidence, you don't need to give a general statement first. So once you have been able to give evidence, that evidence can be both your reason and evidence, because when you give evidence, you are asking the reader to derive the reason from it, and that's perfect. That's perfect. All right. Now, so you have seen the second paragraph, and you have seen that it meets this criteria of body paragraph 2 that says this convention that says topic sentence first, and then you have 2 reasons at least inside. So what you have seen here right now is that in this paragraph you have 3 reasons. This is complete. And also in this paragraph, body paragraph 1, you also have 3 reasons. So what I have told you is that you should give at least 2 reasons. But of course you can give 3, but don't give beyond 3. So you can give 2 or 3 reasons within your body paragraphs, body paragraph 1 and body paragraph 2. And finally, remember what I said earlier in the video. I said that in your conclusion, you reformulate your thesis statement. Now let's go back to look at the thesis statement. Remember, this is the thesis statement, the statement that states your clear position or opinion in the introductory paragraph. It says, I think the school experience is best for children. This sentence has been reformulated, has been paraphrased here in the conclusion. This is the convention that you too should follow in your own writing. When you get to your conclusion, the very first sentence you write to conclude should be a reformulation of your thesis statement, which is this one in this case. So that is why you can see this thesis statement, which says, I think the school experience is best for children, is not different from, I believe that children are better off in the school environment. They are both the same sentences in terms of meaning, though they have different formations. So this is what you should always do. And after reformulating your topic sentence, rather your thesis statement, here in your introduction, the next thing is also not to forget, you have to use a sentence to reflect the points that you made in the 2 body paragraphs. That is what has been done here in this green text that you have in the introduction, in the conclusion. It says, although family time and individual learning are important, this first part of this second sentence, this first clause that says, although family time and individual learning are important, is with reference to the first body paragraph. All right, because the 2 reasons given in body paragraph 1 are that families can spend more time, children can spend more time with their parents and siblings, and that's what this first part is representing. It says family time and individual learning are important. And the second reason given is, it says that instruction can be custom designed. You saw that earlier. And that's it right here. And that is what has been reformulated here as individual learning. Now, the second part of this clause says the range of expertise and resources that the school can offer, the schools offer, cannot be matched in the home. This part is now representing the second body paragraph. Remember the reasons given in the second body paragraph. It says that the first one says that children Schools encourage children to socialize with peers. And the next one says children will receive better tuition across a range of disciplines. So this, in addition, part of it that says children will receive better tuition across a range of discipline is what has been represented as the range of expertise. This is representing the fact that at schools, children have access to a range of disciplines, as schools have teachers who are trained in special subjects. All right. So, and then the second part that says resources that schools offer cannot be matched in a home. Remember that it mentioned in the final sentence of the second body paragraph, this one, that schools provide better access to physical resources such as sports equipment, musical instruments, and library books. So you see here that has been represented as resources that schools offer cannot be matched in the home. This is just one way of summarizing the point made inside the body paragraph 2. So this sentence in green, this text in green, is a summary of the 2 body paragraphs. So this is what you should always do in your conclusion. And finally, you can make a statement that evaluates what you have observed. This final sentence is an evaluation of both sides of the topic, the advantages of schooling at home and the advantages of schooling at school. It says school environment may present difficult situations, but so too does the real world, and children must learn to navigate these on their own. All right, so this is the final sentence that reaffirms the position that the essay makes from the very beginning. So this is a perfect example of a discursive writing, a semi-formal discursive writing that can earn a band 8.5 or band 9 in IELTS writing. Now, why is it semi-formal? Remember what I have said earlier about semi-formal style. You can say I think, ultimately I think. Whereas in the case of general, or rather of academic writing, you wouldn't use I think. You would simply say ultimately the school experience is best for children. You could say it that way. All right. Now, and then also you can see in the final paragraph it says I believe. You wouldn't write this in the conclusion of an academic writing. You would simply write it is clear that children are better off in a school environment. So you have seen this very example of a response to a question that expresses the writer's view on a topic. Now let's move to the next one very quickly. The next one is an argument. I'm not going to go to examine the details of this one like as I have done with the previous one. You can take your time to take a look at it on your own, following the template that I have already given to examine how it meets this criteria. But in any case, I'll just point out a number of things to you, because in this one you have 5 paragraphs. But I still have to mention that here is the paraphrase of the topic, and here is where we can find the opinion of the writer. This paragraph here takes time to give a reason why the situation exists. It says before now, or rather the change that has taken place anyway. You can take your time to observe it, but where it specifically answers a question that says, do you agree or disagree? Look at what the writer says here. It says, in my opinion, which you would not do in academic writing, but it's perfect in general writing. In my opinion, a fixed retirement age is actually best. And then it comes here to say, but I think a tribunal could be established to decide whether individual workers deserve to receive a pension at an earlier age. And then to support that position, it repeats that same position here in this paragraph. It says, an ideal middle ground would be to have a set retirement age for everybody. So by this sentence, we are clear about what the position of this writer is. And then he repeats what he made, the statement he made earlier in the introduction, Say, but to create a tribunal that could hear individual cases, which is a repetition, a reformulation of what he made here. And then the reason he had this position is the specific reason or piece of evidence here is this. It says a 60-year-old who had been a minor for 40 years could get an early pension, for example, whereas someone of the same age who had only spent 8 years mining in his 20s would not. So, and this has supported his position. And then remember, the question is made up of, the impromptu is made up of two questions. The first one, do you agree or disagree? So we now know what the position of this person is. All right. It says a set retirement age for everybody would be an ideal. So that's his position, and that is required. Your position should be clear. And then we know that this person agreed, having a set retirement age with some reservation, which is that a tribunal should be set up. Then the second part of the question says, which types of workers do you think should benefit from early retirement? And we have also seen an answer to this one here in the second paragraph. We already have references to read here, but right here we have this paragraph specifically answering that question. It says two types of workers benefit from early retirement. It gives the first type. The first are those who work in tough physical demanding conditions, such as construction workers, coal miners, and welders. And then it goes to give us the second one. The others are workers in high stress positions where sound judgment is crucial for public safety. And then it gives specific examples of this. It said emergency medical practitioners and traffic control operators are two such examples. So this paragraph is complete, is fully developed, and can score the complete band allocated to it. And finally, this is a conclusion. You can take your time to observe this. This essay gives 5 paragraphs, but I have to mention here that what matters is that whether you write 10 paragraphs, 5 paragraphs, or 7 paragraphs, or 4 paragraphs, what matters is that you have these elements inside your essay wherever they are. But it's better to make it easy for your examiner to find. That is why this template that you are looking at once again is the most popular, because it does the job, is better than any other template that you might create, such as this one that we have just seen. So these first 2 essays we have just looked at, opinion essay and argument essay, are examples of semi-formal discursive writing for general writing task 2. All right, now we come to this problem essay. Now, this problem essay is an example of academic writing. Now, it says many people go through life doing work that they hate or have no talent for. It says, why does this happen? What are the consequences of this situation? Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. And once again, you can see the introductory paragraph here. Now, this part, the text in red, is the paraphrase, even though this introduction is just a single sentence introduction, and it's a compound sentence. It has a number of clauses. You have the first part, which is a complex sentence, and the second part, answers the question of why it happens. Remember, the first thing you do is to paraphrase the topic, and many people go through life doing work that they hate or have no talent for, has been paraphrased here. It says in many countries around the world, young people are pushed into careers that they have no aptitude for or do not want to do. And now the question, it says, why does this happen? And this writer answers directly. And there are 2 main reasons why this happened. So when you do this, you give 2 main reasons why this happened. You have not mentioned the reason, but you just want to make a general statement. This is your thesis statement. Remember that I said earlier that the general statement here is optional, All right, and that what is required, what the examiner wants to see is a paraphrase of the topic and then a thesis statement of your opinion or position. That's exactly what this one does without wasting time at all. It gives the paraphrase right here, and then it goes on to express the opinion. All right, so and that is complete, and we can move on. And you can see that there is no place where this person mentions, I think that there are two main reasons for this situation. No, there is no I think in academic writing. So now coming here, you see the first body paragraph one. As I have mentioned, we always need a topic sentence. The first reason is lack of tertiary studies. Now, this is the first reason, and then the details given to support the first reason. They are all here. And then the other main reason, look at it here, and then it says which is closely aligned with the former is parental aspiration, and all the supporting evidence needed to to drive home the point are given after it. So right here we have two reasons, right, to support this person that's given to support this position. Of course, two reasons, because he says there are two main reasons for this. Now remember the second question, what are the consequences of this situation? So this writer has organized his response by using one paragraph, the first body paragraph, to answer the question, why does this happen? And then we will expect that this writer will go on to use the next paragraph to answer the question, what are the consequences of this situation? And then we go down to see, we see here that this paragraph gives what the consequences of the situation the consequences of the situation are. And on the first sentence here is just a transition sentence. It is here we actually have the topic sentence that introduces the consequences. It says this can have both personal and social consequences. And then you can see firstly used to introduce the first consequence. Firstly, unsatisfied workers can suffer from job stress, which drains human potential and may lead to physical and psychological illness. And then the second one says that dissatisfaction and distress also impacts on their chosen profession and on society as a whole, as unhappy and disaffected workers tend not to give their best, and this affects quality of their work. So this paragraph is now complete and can score a band 8.5 or higher. Now, and look, and the conclusion, once again, you can see the way the conclusion of an academic writing, is introduced. Unlike what we found in general, writing response, which simply start, I believe that children are better off in a school environment, without even introducing it with something like to sum up. It just goes on. All right, this is okay in general writing. And look at the second conclusion without even any linker or cohesive device. It just goes on to make this statement: with people's working lives differing on an individual basis. But in formal writing, it is advisable to always start with something like this: in conclusion or to conclude, or in conclusion or to conclude, those two. To sum up, you should use that for general writing. So look, this first sentence of the conclusion is a reformulation of the position made here, which is, and that there are two main reasons for this in some way. Now let's take a look at it. It's a person who is pushed into uncongenial work. What are the reasons? Because of social constraints or family pressure. Look at it, and look at, remember I mentioned that the two main reasons for this, I guess the first is lack of tertiary options, and the second reason is many parents push their children into limited set of career options. Now, so when we come here to see something like pushed into inconvenient work because of social constraints or family pressure, which is one reason given in the body, so I've seen. So I told you earlier that the very first sentence here is a reformulation of the thesis statement with respect to, or with reference to, the reasons given in the body. All right, it says a person who is pushed into inconvenient work because of social constraints or family pressure is not likely to be a productive and happy member of the family. Here in this case, the writer has included one reason, and which is good because it's a conclusion where you just summarize. You don't have to give all the reasons. If you give one or two out of 2. If you give 2 out of 3, that's right. And so the final sentence is an evaluation of everything you have said, which is either an evaluation, of course, or a recommendation. All right. So we see, so we need to ensure that individual talents and skills are recognized and catered for if we are to have a harmonious and well-developed society. So this is it. Now you can take your time to watch this video again. Maybe I'm fast, but if you listen to it again, watch the video again and again, you will get everything you need to know here. And finally, we take a look at the last one, which is also an example of a response to academic writing. I had mentioned earlier that we're not going to go down to the details like as I have just been doing. Nevertheless, let's just continue. All right, now, so the last one, this is also an example provided by the British Council, and it is an essay that requires it to weigh advantages against disadvantages. So, and this is very typical of IELTS. Here is the topic, here is the prompt. It's simply a question. It says, do the benefits of online teaching outweigh the disadvantages? And the specification gives reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. Now, once again, this essay follows the 4-paragraph convention that you have seen here again and again. All right. So here we have the paraphrase of the topic. We have the thesis statement. Here you have the topic sentence. Here you have the first advantage of online learning. It is convenient. Here you have the second advantage. It is flexible, followed by details and evidence. And then the other one is, the third one, it says it is economical. So 3 benefits of online teaching have been given in this paragraph. And then what are the drawbacks? Because it says that you should do the benefits of online teaching outweigh the drawbacks, which is the disadvantages. And then the drawbacks, it says there are a few drawbacks. The first one, it says learning requires that students have access to relatively up-to-date and stable computers, and in some places this is not the case. And then it gives the second reason. It says not all teachers understand how to deliver instruction over the internet in pedagogically sound ways. All right. Okay. And then the third reason, it says some students may find it difficult to establish study routines and relationship. All right. So these are the 3 drawbacks that this writer has given. All right, in this paragraph. So with these 3 and supporting examples and specific additional information to back them up, the paragraph is complete. And finally, the conclusion. And take a look at this conclusion again, also starting with in conclusion, just like the previous one. Also uses in conclusion, but if you look at the general writing, you find no such thing as in conclusion. If you look at this one, you don't find anything like that. So in this way, you can see the difference between general writing and academic writing. So now back here in the conclusion of our final essay, it says in conclusion, although there are compelling arguments for both and against online teaching, any shortcomings are offset by the fact that distance education is low cost and reaches a broader student population. So this sentence, and then it goes on offering convenience and flexibility. Remember that in the body paragraph earlier, it mentions convenience, flexibility, and also the fact that it is low cost. So you can see that the 3 reasons here inside this very sentence are a summary of the reasons given in this first body paragraph. What do you expect in the next sentence? It's an evaluation or a recommendation. As I mentioned before, it says with good technological support and training for both staff and students, internet-based education can offer many benefits. And this essay is 343 words. Now, this is a recommendation. So your last sentence, after you have summarized your key points in conclusion, your final sentence should be a recommendation or an evaluation. So you can see that this one is a recommendation. It says with good if that is, in other words, if good technological support and training for staff and students are provided, internet-based education can offer many benefits. All right, now, so it's the same recommendation we saw at the end of the previous essay. This one, it said we need to ensure that individual talents and skills are recognized and catered for if we are to have a harmonious and well-developed society. So follow these conventions in your own writing, and you will be able to score very high in IELTS, in IELTS writing. So at this point, you have seen all the examples that you need to see of the different IELTS writing task that you might encounter on your test day. Now, to conclude, these essays are examples for you to imitate in your own writing. The best way to learn to improve your proficiency in writing is to keep observing the conventions followed by best writers and imitate them. In my next video, I'll teach you how you can quickly generate ideas to support your points in your essays. Thank you for watching this. I'll see you in the next one.